All right, welcome to another deep dive. We are diving into 5G today.
Okay.
5G. And, you always hear about it, but we're going to try and get past the hype.
Right.
To see, what 5G actually means for the average person like you or me.
Yeah.
And we've got a Wikipedia article as our guide. We'll try to extract all the key facts and stuff.
Okay.
And we'll even talk about, some of the controversies around 5G. Is it safe?
Yeah.
How's it going to impact things like self-driving cars?
Right.
All that good stuff.
5G is interesting because it's, often presented as just this upgrade to your phone's internet.
Right.
But I think that it's a lot more than that. It's really a fundamental shift in how we connect and communicate, with the potential to really revolutionize everything.
Wow.
From how we work to how we experience the world around us.
So to start off, what is 5G?
So 5G stands for Fifth Generation Mobile Network Standard. And it's basically the successor to 4G, which most of us are using now.
Right.
And while speed is definitely a big part of it, 5G is about more than just, being able to download movies really quickly, although it can definitely do that. It's really a giant leap forward in connectivity with potential speeds of up to 20 Gbps.
20 gigabytes per second. That's crazy fast. What would that what does that even look like?
Imagine being able to download a full-length HD movie in just a few seconds.
No.
That's the kind of speed we're talking about.
Jeez.
But what might be even more revolutionary is the incredibly low latency that 5G offers.
Okay.
Which in ideal conditions can be under 1 millisecond.
So break that down for me. What is low latency and why should I care?
So latency is basically the delay between when you send a request and when you receive a response.
Gotcha.
So with 5G and incredibly low latency, we're talking about near instantaneous data transfer. And that's a complete game changer, I think, for applications that require real-time responsiveness.
So it's not just about downloading stuff really fast. It's about how quickly the information can travel back and forth.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm starting to see the bigger picture now.
Yeah, and this has huge implications for a ton of applications, way beyond just our smartphones.
So what are some of the most exciting potential uses of 5G? What can we expect to see as this rolls out and becomes more common?
So 5G is really designed to kind of revolutionize three main areas.
Okay.
First, we have what's called enhanced mobile broadband, or EMBB.
Okay.
And this is where those super fast downloads and streaming capabilities come into play.
Right.
But it also goes beyond that, aiming to provide high-speed internet to areas that have historically struggled with connectivity, like rural communities, for instance.
Yeah, I remember when I visited my family up north.
Right.
And just trying to load anything was pulling teeth.
Yeah, and super
it's just so slow.
So 5G has a potential to really bridge that gap, I think.
Okay.
And ensure that, more people have access to all the opportunities that, the internet offers.
Gotcha. That makes sense. What else? What's next?
All right, so the second pillar of 5G is what's called Massive Machine Type Communications, or MMTC.
MMTC.
And this is really the driving force behind the Internet of Things, which you've probably heard of.
Right, yeah.
It's about connecting a huge number of devices, from your smart refrigerator to sensors in a factory, all communicating with each other seamlessly and efficiently.
So it's not even just about us downloading stuff, it's all this other stuff is talking to each other now too.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you can imagine a smart city where traffic lights adapt to traffic flow in real time, reducing congestion and improving safety, or a farm where sensors monitor soil conditions and automatically adjust irrigation.
That sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah.
What about, what's the last one?
The third pillar, which is called Ultra Reliable Low Latency Communications, or URLLC.
URLLC. This is where things get really futuristic.
Okay.
So this is all about applications that demand absolute reliability and lightning fast response times.
So I'm thinking self-driving cars that have to make, split-second decisions to avoid accidents.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Or even remote surgery.
Oh.
Where a surgeon in one location could control robotic instruments in another.
Wow.
Relying on that instantaneous feedback to perform these really delicate procedures.
That sounds pretty wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like the three main things.
Okay.
I have to ask, like, how does 5G actually work? Because I know the article mentions something about different frequency ranges.
Yeah, so 5G uses two main frequency ranges.
Okay.
The first one is called FR1, which uses lower frequencies, kind of similar to what 4G uses.
Yeah. And then there's FR2, which operates in a much higher frequency range known as millimeter waves.
Okay, why two different ranges? What's the point of that?
It's a great question. So FR1, with its lower frequencies, offers wider coverage and better penetration through obstacles like walls and buildings.
Okay.
So it's really suitable for covering these large areas, but it does have a lower capacity for carrying data.
Gotcha.
FR2, on the other hand, offers incredible speed and capacity because of those higher frequencies, but it does have a more limited range and doesn't penetrate obstacles as well.
So it's like a trade-off, right?
Exactly.
FR1 can go further, but
Yeah.
FR2 is faster, but can't go as far.
Exactly.
Okay, so I guess if I'm like out in the sticks,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get FR1.
You're probably going to be relying on FR1 initially, yeah.
Gotcha.
Which will still offer a pretty significant improvement over 4G,
Okay.
but maybe not those mind-blowing speeds.
Right, so it really just depends on where you live.
Exactly. And this choice of, like, frequency range is also one of the factors behind some of the, controversies surrounding the rollout of 5G.
Okay.
Because building out the infrastructure for FR2, with its need for more densely packed base stations, can be a lot more challenging and disruptive, especially in residential areas.
So that's where you get people being like, not in my backyard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those concerns are very understandable.
Right.
And we're going to delve into those controversies and other aspects of 5G
Okay.
in more detail as we kind of go deeper into this exploration.
All right. Sounds good.
One of the really fascinating things about 5G is how it could change entire industries. Like the article mentions something called Industry 4.0.
Industry 4.0.
Yeah.
And that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. What is that?
It might sound futuristic, but it's actually happening now. So Industry 4.0 is all about integrating digital technologies into manufacturing and industrial processes.
Yeah.
So you can think about smart factories where machines can talk to each other in real time, optimizing production, or supply chains that track goods from source to destination with crazy precision.
Wow.
5G is a key enabler of this transformation because of its, low latency and high reliability.
So 5G is not just about me watching cat videos on my phone faster. It's actually
Right.
changing how businesses work.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty amazing.
And think about the potential for job creation too.
Oh yeah.
As these industries become more automated and more reliant on data, there's going to be this huge need for skilled workers who can, design, implement, and maintain these really complex systems.
Yeah, because you always hear about, technology replacing jobs.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously it can also create new ones too, as things evolve and change.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. So kind of switching gears a little bit, we talked about some of the benefits and stuff, but
Yeah.
I know you wanted to talk about some of the controversies around 5G.
Yeah.
The article mentioned concerns about energy consumption.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's a really valid concern. So, I've heard that 5G is supposed to be more energy efficient than the previous generations of mobile technology. But I also wonder if, with 5G, people are just going to use more data,
Right.
which could cancel out those gains.
Right.
And so, 5G is designed to be more energy efficient.
Okay.
But like you said, if people are just using way more data, then, it could end up using more energy overall.
Right. It's like when you buy a fuel efficient car
Yeah.
and then you just drive it twice as much.
Exactly.
You're like, well, I thought I was saving the planet, but I'm just driving around more.
That's a great analogy. And this really ties into that bigger issue of sustainability.
Okay.
As our reliance on data-intensive applications grows with 5G, we have to think carefully about the environmental impact, and try to find ways to, make things more sustainable.
Yeah.
Maybe by using renewable energy sources to power the 5G infrastructure, or even developing more energy efficient devices and applications.
Right. So it's kind of like a balancing act of getting all the cool benefits, but
Right.
also trying to be responsible at the same time.
Exactly. So speaking of potential drawbacks, let's talk about security.
Okay.
The elephant in the room with 5G.
Yeah.
The source material mentions Huawei, a Chinese tech giant,
Yeah.
and how some countries have flagged it as a potential security risk.
Right.
And so this is where the conversation goes beyond just technology and enters the world of geopolitics and national security.
It's all of a sudden it's not just about
Right.
how fast my phone is. It's about international relations.
Yeah, exactly. It's really complicated.
Yeah.
There are some concerns that equipment from certain companies could be used for, espionage or to give foreign governments access to sensitive data.
Right. It's definitely a sensitive topic. And I think it's important to say that there are a lot of different perspectives and viewpoints on this issue.
For sure. And it's not our job here to take sides or endorse a specific viewpoint.
Right.
We're just presenting the information from the article, and we want you, the listener, to think critically about it and come to your own conclusions.
Right. For sure.
So let's move on to another big controversy with 5G. The potential health risks.
Yeah.
The article mentioned that, scientists generally agree that 5G is safe, but a lot of people are still worried.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, when you have something new, people are always kind of well, is this going to, give me cancer in 20 years?
Exactly.
So, I mean, I get why people are, hesitant.
And, I mean, some people are, really worried that the higher frequencies used in 5G, especially those in the millimeter wave range, could be, harmful to their health.
Right.
I think it's important to separate genuine concerns from just misinformation.
Okay.
There are a ton of crazy conspiracy theories online linking 5G to all kinds of problems.
Oh, yeah?
Even the pandemic.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah. It's important to be critical of what you see online.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Stick to credible sources.
Yeah, absolutely. And the scientific consensus, based on years of research, is that the amount of electromagnetic radiation from 5G is well within, the established safety limits.
Okay, that's good to hear. I mean, I'm no scientist, but I'm glad that, people are looking into this. And it sounds like, for now, at least things are probably okay.
Yeah. I mean, ongoing research is always important just to make sure there aren't, long-term effects that we just haven't seen yet.
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, it's still relatively new.
Yeah.
So, only time will tell, really.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, this has been, a really interesting, deep dive so far into 5G.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm finally, getting a grasp on what this whole thing is about.
Yeah, me too.
And I mean, we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much more to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton more to explore and learn about 5G.
Okay, so we've talked about how fast 5G is and all the cool stuff it can do, with the Internet of Things and stuff. And even some of the not so good stuff, like the security concerns and the health questions.
Yeah.
But what about the money side of things?
Right.
How is 5G going to affect businesses and the economy?
That's a really good question. The economic impact of 5G is massive, honestly. I mean, it's not just a tech upgrade. It's going to change how businesses work and how the whole economy functions.
The article mentioned something about telecom companies investing billions in 5G.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they're really betting big on this.
They're definitely betting big.
Okay.
And I think it's for a good reason. They're betting that the increased speed, the capacity, the reliability, all that stuff is going to open up all these new ways for them to make money and even create new markets that don't even exist yet.
Okay.
Think about things like, augmented reality, virtual reality, the metaverse, all of that stuff.
All that stuff needs a ton of data.
Yeah, it's super data intensive.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't work without 5G.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it goes way beyond just the telecom companies themselves, 5G is expected to lead to a ton of innovation and create all these new jobs across tons of different industries.
So manufacturing.
Yeah, manufacturing.
Agriculture.
Healthcare. I mean, you name it, 5G is probably going to touch it in some way.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about how one technology can affect so many different things. It's the butterfly effect or something.
It is. It really is. And, with all this interconnectedness and stuff, come some new challenges too.
Right.
We already talked a bit about the digital divide, but how can we make sure that everyone benefits from 5G?
Yeah, I mean, we don't want this to be something that only helps, like, the rich and well-connected.
Yeah.
We want everyone to have the opportunity to, use this and benefit from it.
I couldn't agree more. I think we need a bunch of different things to make that happen.
Yep.
Investments in infrastructure are super important.
Yeah.
We need policies that make sure 5G is affordable.
Right.
And that there's, like, real competition.
Gotcha.
And we need programs that, like, teach people how to use 5G effectively,
Right, like digital literacy and stuff.
Exactly.
So it's not just about the technology itself. It's about making sure everyone can, get on board.
Absolutely. And as we're, going through this transition to a 5G world, we can't forget about the potential downsides.
Right.
We've talked about the security stuff, but, what about privacy?
Yeah, that's a big one.
As we use more and more connected devices and share all this information about ourselves,
Right.
we need to be really careful about keeping our information safe.
Yeah. We need strong privacy laws.
Yeah.
And we need companies to, actually care about our privacy.
Absolutely. And I think we, as a society, need to talk about where the line is between convenience and privacy.
Right. Like, how much am I willing to give up to
Yeah.
have all this cool stuff?
Exactly. It's a tough question.
Yeah.
But it's one that we all need to think about.
This has been a really, thought-provoking
Yeah.
deep dive into 5G.
Yeah.
I feel like we've, gone beyond just, the headlines
Right.
and really explored, the good and the bad.
Absolutely.
I don't know. What was, the biggest thing that stood out to you?
For me, I think the biggest thing is that 5G is more than just, a faster internet connection,
Right.
It's a fundamental technology that's going to change the world in a really big way.
Yeah.
And it could be for good or for bad,
Yeah.
And it's really up to us to decide how it all plays out.
That's a good point. It's we have the power to shape the future of this thing.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, I guess, the question for our listeners is,
Yeah.
what are you excited about with 5G?
Yeah.
What are you worried about?
Right.
And, what are you going to do to make sure 5G is used for good?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I think it's important to remember that, the future isn't something that just, happens to us.
Yeah.
It's something that we all create together.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into 5G.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.